All right. Good morning, everyone. Good Sunday morning. How's everyone doing? All right. Good. My name is Jason Gregory. I am a screenwriting lecturer at the University of Central Florida in the English department. Go Knights. Local award-winning filmmaker and author of the forthcoming book, Quick Script Tips, A Guide to Writing Your First Screenplay. I have the honor of being your moderator today for this amazing panel discussion brought to you by the Organization of Independent Filmmakers. I'd like to give a shout out and thank you to the Executive Director, Lenny LaRusso, and his beautiful wife, Savia LaRusso, his partner as well. Let's give them a round of applause. Because without them, we would not have this. They are dedicated to educating and giving our local film industry great opportunities. Yes. Football Sunday. Yes. All right. So let's get into the information here. We also want to thank the Enzian for allowing us to once again host this event here. And by this being a Sunday, it does count as church. So I will send a collection plate around a little bit later. That comes straight to me. Today we're here to discuss promoting yourself, your music, and or your film. We have expert panelists here to tell you how to promote yourselves. Please welcome to the stage Tim Anderson, Programming Coordinator for the Florida Film Festival and Engineering Theater. Award-winning actor, musician, and coach Jordan Wood Robinson. Co-owner and program director of Truthful Acting Studios, Marco DeGeorge. He brought all his hair today. And Grammy Award-winning drummer, CEO of Inferno Music Group, record producer and music publisher, Mr. Will Covington. All right, so we will have each of them kind of discuss their lane about how to promote yourself, whether it's yourself, music, or film, and then we'll open it up for discussion and questions for about 35, 40 minutes. So let's go ahead and get started. I'll start with Jordan over at the end. As an actor, you know, everyone on this panel is a great multi-hyphenate. You can't just do one thing nowadays. You have to make sure that you kind of diversify yourself. So, Jordan, talk to us about maybe how you got started and how you constantly promote yourself.
Oh boy, I was hoping to go last. I was gonna take what everyone else said and then fill in any gaps that I may or may not have to offer. So let's go. Let's get into it. Hey y'all, I'm Jordan. Hold on, gotta get a little bit closer. So I run a studio in town called Book from Tape Acting Studios, and we do focus more on the acting side of things than the promoting side of things. So everything that I'm offering today is really from a personal perspective. I'm taking off my coach hat, I'm putting on my acting hat right alongside all of you. Can I just see a hand of actors? Okay, so like 50% or more. Okay, great, okay, cool. I want to approach it from a couple different perspectives. First of all, I am probably not the leading person up here in terms of personal promotion. I'm a big fan of building a team of other people who are smarter than you and letting them help with all of this. And so my agents and I had a publicist for a while, and my wife and other folks are constantly throwing ideas out at me, and I'm trying to keep up with them. But I think in terms today of talking about self-promotion, I'm gonna start down the path of talking about what we can do digitally versus what we can do in person. There are a couple different ways to unpack this, so I got a thing here. First of all, websites. Lots of actors talk about them. Jason already threw out there that we're multi-hyphenates. Everyone up at this table, you'll see, like, look at the thing, right? Nobody is. We're jack of all trades. And one way to think of a website, and if you talk to your agent, they're going to say you don't need a website. You need to update your actors access. You got to have those clips. You got to have that resume that's working for you. You got to keep training. And all of that's absolutely true. But that is their main tool that they're using in order to get you out into the world. One of the ways that you can keep your brand consistent and reliable is, in my opinion, through a website. That's how I've always thought about it, right? If nothing else, you've got a custom domain. Now, I'm not a fan of saying you have to go out and spend a lot of money on this. I'd much rather find ways to duct tape it together. But think of your website as the hub of your brand, okay? And everything can spoke, this thing keeps moving away from me. Everything can spoke away from you, from the brand, right? So we've got the websites here, that's the center, and then it sends away to Actors Access. It sends away to IMDb, to Facebook, to Instagram, to your Reel, to Vimeo, to everything else that's going on. And in turn, all of that outer ring of stuff feeds back into your website as well. So if we're looking at SEO, which is search engine optimization, the more websites that are in the world that are pointing back to your domain name, Google, in large quotation marks, will consider your website as more of a professional, or what's the word? More of the reliable. They're going off reliability. Google wants you to find your answer within the first 3 websites that you search for when you search for a certain term. So it's constantly updating, and the more other sites you have that trust your website, the more Google's going to trust your website. Anyway, long story short, another way to think about this is if you went to Google your name right now, what would you find? Sometimes you would find pictures of other artists, sometimes you would find pictures of politicians or football players. I know several actors who share names with adult film stars, so that's a whole other thing, right?
Major League Baseball player.
Major League Baseball player, Tim Anderson, sitting with us today. So how, and one way, if you have that domain name, you now have a specific place that you can send people where you have the opportunity to curate it. You have the opportunity to show them exactly what you want them to see in the order that you want them to see it, which is how most businesses run. And there's something called a call to action. Your call to action, the moment that you log on to Amazon, one of the first things that they show you is products that are related to other products that you've bought recently. They want you to go buy those products before you start searching for anything else, right? Your call to action. As an actor, what is it that you want people to do? Do you want them to email you right away? Do you want them to watch your reel? Do you want them to look at your resume? Do you want them to visit that blog post of that featured article that you just had in Tampa Bay from the play that you just did? What is it that you want people to click on? And you can't have that control if people are just Googling you and seeing what Google recommends, right? So we're getting kind of heady here. We're getting, and we're gonna go back and forth between offering some practical tips and then also offering like the larger vision, the more artistic side of things. But that's one of the first things I wrote down is website. If you don't have it, consider it. If nothing else, consider buying your domain name of yourname.com. Stick to .com, in my opinion. Stick to .com. Don't do .net. Don't do .co. Don't do .actor. The world, at least, you know, the American psyche is that we expect websites to be .com. So it's going to be easier for people to remember actor JordanWoodsRobinson.com than it is to remember JordanWoodsRobinson.actor, if that makes sense. So offering, you know, giving them the best possibility of latching onto it and holding onto it.
And Jordan, would you say maybe get some social media pages that direct towards your website?
Yeah, so we've got the website, right? That's the main thing. Everything's spoken off of that. Now, once we get stuff out into your social media pages, we've got your Facebook, we've got your Twitter, we've got your Instagram. Each of these have a different voicing. Each of these have a different... Another reason why a website can be so helpful is thinking about your brand, thinking about your consistency, thinking about what you're putting out into the world. Because the moment that you put that information up on Facebook or Twitter or Instagram or Actors Access or casting networks, it is immediately getting absorbed into each of those companies' personal branding. You now exist within their branding, and it's nearly impossible to truly control all of the fonts and the colors and the structures that bring it back to feeling like you. And I'm going around on, my brain works this way, I'm gonna go down several rabbit holes right now. But thinking about branding, the more consistent your branding is between your website, between your resume, between your email signature. If you're not using an email signature, go out and start doing, that is That is handing a business card to every single person that you correspond with. I had an HVAC repairman come by my house a couple days ago, and he's like, "You were on The Walking Dead?" I was like, yeah. And he's like, "I clicked on your email signature, man. Like, that's so cool." Like, I didn't even, that is not going to be a connection that is going to serve me anywhere in life, but it is, in my idea, it's an example of, just because I had an email, it was passive marketing. I hadn't even thought of it. I was just emailing this guy to get a quote, and now all of a sudden, I've made a connection, right? A great resource for getting a free email signature is on HubSpot, HUBSPOT. It's free, it's powerful, you can customize it. You do have to sign up, you'll be on the marketing list, but quite frankly, HubSpot doesn't care about you. They're reaching the Fortune 500 companies, and if you come in as an actor saying, "I'm an actor, it's me, it's one person, I'm doing all my own stuff," they're not gonna add you to any newsletters, you're fine. But going down this path, the consistency between the social media, all of those brand colors matching, and you can base all of this off of your current headshots. The colors in your headshots can be reflected in your branding everywhere else. And I know, again, not an expert. I don't have a linear path to this. I'm just throwing out spaghetti, and you're gonna peel it off the wall however you need to, right? Steven's over here making fun of me, my weird analogies, metaphors. I never know an analogy or a metaphor, whatever they are. But have that URL. It can point to a website, or it can point to your Actors Access. If you don't have who has their custom URL set up on their Actors Access? Who doesn't know what I'm talking about with a custom URL in Actors Access? Okay, good. Oh, you do know. Okay, good. Okay, well then never mind. Okay, great. Make sure you have that custom URL, because that's the only way people can find you.
Can you still go ahead and explain what that is?
Sure, great. So when you're in your Actors Access profile, there is under Tools or whatever. I think it's under Tools. It'll say custom URL. You click on that. There's no way to internally search on Actors Access from our point of view. Maybe as a casting director, you might be able to search. Does anybody know? If you're a casting director, can you search for someone?
Yes.
You can. Okay, great. Thank you. Yeah, Tracy would know. Thank you. As an actor, though, or as a coach, or as anybody else in the industry, if I'm looking for you, I have to type in resumes.actorsaccess.com/Tracy Frankel in order to find you. Otherwise, there's no way I can find it. So, by default, your Actors Access is resumes.actorsaccess.com/20 numbers and letters that are nonsensical, okay? So if you go through and put your name in there the same way that it is on your resume, the same way it is on your Actors Access, if you have a middle initial, include it. If you have, yeah, that's pretty much it. Include that middle initial if it's on your resume. That way people can find you. But this is all coming back to, finally I'm getting back to the artistic side of this. This is all coming back to dependability, reliability, and consistency. In my opinion, one of the best ways to market yourself is to be aware of how you're offering value to the world and keeping that consistent. When you walk into a room, what energy are you bringing, and is that consistent with your digital marketing materials? When you are choosing what you're going to wear to an event like this, is it consistent with your branding and your digital marketing materials, so that as people see you, they instantly have those different synaptic connections that allow them to go, "Oh, I know you from Facebook, I know you from your website, I know you from when I saw that resume that came through. I get it. I understand you a little bit better," and there's more of it's an opportunity to allow for the digital and the in-person to coalesce. Which is what we're going after, right? We don't want to, think about this, one of the reasons why we put so many special skills and things on our resume is so that when we're standing in a room with a casting director who's seen 60 other people that day, that finally they look through it and they go, "Wait, what, you can catch objects in your mouth?" And now all of a sudden, we're connecting as people. We're not going through "Oh yeah, I'll play the Volkswagen bus driver today for you because I'm a professional and I took the day off work hoping to make an $800 buyout." Hoping. Now we're connecting as people, and that's the goal. That's the goal, is to make those connections. And the more the more breadcrumbs we're putting out into the world that are consistent and all coming back to that personal connection, that is what is going to allow all of this to be symbiotic and allow us to say, hey, we're just people in the industry and we're connecting and we each have value to offer each other. Let's make that happen, in my opinion.
So
Yeah.
personal connections, value, and think of yourself as a brand.
Yeah, absolutely.
Good.
Yeah.
So let's go to the next acting coach, since we're talking about acting.
Sure.
Marco, do you want to expand on that? Maybe tell us, how you promote yourself in Truthful Acting Studios?
Sure. First, I just want to say that everything that Jordan just said, I second. I mean, it's so important. Just all of those things. I'm going to kind of add on and steal some of your spaghetti. And
I'm hoping that this is what I was hoping for.
Because thank you for just throwing that out there.
Good.
But myself, I was early on in life. I was an artist, and after college, which we won't say when I went, but a long time ago. But back in the day, it wasn't looked at that you could make a career out of the arts. And so coming out of college, even though I was in the arts then, I went away from it, went into the corporate world for many years, over a decade, corporate marketing. So I was on the other side of things. But the arts never left me, and eventually I came back. I came back as an actor, which then led into filmmaking, which led into film production, which then led into starting the acting studio 13 years ago. And so I've done quite a bit in a lot of different areas. I now have a live theater company called Theater on the Edge, and so and work with you over at UCF. Go Knights! And so so there's a lot of different things that I've worked on. What I can say is acting, which is my main focus, is teaching actors. Jordan brought up something called branding, which is so incredibly important. But to understand branding a little bit, branding is your public perception. It's who people think you are. And the thing about branding is you can only control it to a point. But if something negative happens out there, if something happens that is, for example, you can put your website together, which is incredibly important. You can put your social media together, which is, in this day and age, incredibly important. Have your IMDb and your Actors Access and your casting networks and all of your different sites. You want them to be consistent. So like Jordan was saying, you want everything to be consistent. So wherever someone has any sort of access to you, there's a certain brand to it. We understand who you are. But your brand is not who you say it is, it's who other people say it is. One negative tweet can kill your brand. And you can't control that. Meaning, after you tweet it, you can't control it. The time to control it is before you put it out there. One negative post on Facebook. One negative comment on someone else's post on Facebook. You have to be really, really careful. You need to make sure that everything that goes out on social media is consistent to your brand. And we've known several celebrities that, because of tweeting, because of things that they've done in public, all of a sudden, their brand has changed forever. Forever. And in today's day and age, I would say, and it's not just today, but social media has complicated things. What I can tell you is that as a filmmaker, as a casting director, both theater or film, I want to work with people that I trust, that are reliable, and that are professional. And the fourth thing is that I get along with, meaning are fun to work with. Part of the due diligence in the independent film world and even the community theater world, part of the due diligence of what we're going to do is we're going to look you up online. As a casting director, I'm going to search your name online and see what comes up. Because if I'm putting together an independent film, even up to $5 million independently, which is a lot of money to have at risk, I can't have any sort of negativity attached to it, or anything that is off-brand of our project to be associated all of a sudden with that. It would hinder what we're trying to do. So just know that, yes, you're being looked up. If you've never Googled your name, like you said to do, right? If you never Google your name, make sure what's associated with that. Make sure that you can put things out there that control your brand. Now, all of that is digital, and it's online. Try to stay away from any negativity online unless your brand is negativity. If that's your brand, then great. Then go for it. All in. Right? Just go for it. Well, and I say that. I think of stand-up comedians, and some stand-up comedians are offensive by nature, and they curse by nature, and all of those things. And it's like, sure, well, then that's your brand. Lisa Lampanelli, right? It's right. Like there's a certain brand to it. So sure, you can follow that through on your social media. But if it's not your brand, make sure you're consistent. Now, the biggest part of it is in person. And Jordan touched on this too. When you show up to a casting, when you show up to any sort of meet and greet like this, be consistent to who you want people to think you are. Who you want people to think you are, meaning consistency with your brand. Make sure you're dressing appropriately to your brand. Every time you see me in public, I'm going to be consistent to my brand with how I dress. I don't think anyone's ever seen me outside of what I'm wearing right now.
That is true.
Because it's right. Because but I realized a long time ago that it's important for a certain recognition. So I dress a certain way. Acting appropriately. We were talking about this, Will and Tim, we were talking about this even in music. When I'm looking to, if I'm doing a film and I'm looking to hire a composer, the first people I'm going to go to for that are people I know, people I trust, people I already get along with. When I'm looking for actors, the first people I'm going to go to and trust are the people I already know in the industry and the ones I can trust. Putting together a film or putting together a theater show, there's so many variables that are out there. In a film, they're all variables. And so I need to control what I can. I'm looking to hire cast and crew that I get along with, that I trust, that's reliable and professional. Integrity are the major factors in that. When you walk into a room of a casting, your integrity is more important than your talent. Are you on time? Are you excited to be there? Are you prepared for what you're about to do? That's more important than what you do in the actual audition. And not to take away from the audition, that's important too. But if I have two equal actors, and one I know I can rely on and one I'm unsure of, I'm going to go with the one I know I can rely on. We want to, in this industry, and even as the older I get, it's more true. I want to work with people that can make the process easier for me. As a director, I need to work with actors that I can trust. I want to work with crew that I can trust. And that's going to make the whole process better. I want to work with people that are excited to be in this industry and to do these things. And that's part of your brand. That's part of promoting yourself, is show up excited and prepared to do what you're going to do each and every time.
Yeah, because this entire industry it consists of collaboration, working together. And I love what you said about, integrity. I think it's also important to make sure that when you're working with people that you work with folks that also protect your brand.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes, be right, because you even said that you get absorbed in other people's brands as you go into like different websites and different things. Well, as a film, you're being absorbed into that brand. As a theater, you're being absorbed into that brand, or whatever it may be. And yes, we must protect the other brands that we're associating with. We must not draw attention away or do anything to hinder that. And nowadays, it's even more important than it was in the sense of social media, where a brand can be broken in an instant. One thing posting online, one negative comment, and it's amazing. All of a sudden, public perception changes in a heartbeat about a person, about a product, about a company. And so part of your job as an actor out there is to protect your own brand, but also to protect everyone around you at the same time. That goes in to getting people to want to work with you.
That's great. That's great info, Marco. Thank you. Jordan, real quick, and then we'll run to Tim.
Thank you. And Marco, staying on this actor thing one real fast, because I'm sure there's at least one person out here thinking this, and I want to make sure that we nip this in the bud. Branding is not the same as types. I'm sure there's at least one person here who's like, oh yeah, I can play these different types. That's my brand. It's not, okay? Types, first of all, talking about types in the Southeast is very different than talking about types in LA or talking about types in New York, okay? We have a very specific, and here's why. When you're casting people in New York and LA, the people who are being cast there are usually going to be the leads, the series regulars, the guest stars, the first people who are coming in and filling in the creative DNA of what this project's going to be. And those casting directors and those producers and those writers are filling those roles with people. And oftentimes, by the time that project makes its way out to us in the Southeast, they're looking for characters. They're looking to say, okay, we filled in all of it, we understand all of this. Now we need a doctor. Now we need the abusive boyfriend. Now we need the young brat, right? And they're filling, and so our quote unquote headshots here in the Southeast are incredibly different than many other markets. And so don't allow yourself to, brand is you. Brand is the multi-hyphenate. Brand is one of my agents told me one time, she's like, I don't know why you list musician on your resume. And I'm like, that's part of who I am. I'm a musician, right? She's like, no one else does that. I'm like, I do. And that's it, you know? And that's it. Just don't allow yourself to think that, oh, I've got these 4 headshots of showing me playing 4 different characters. That's my brand, and that's how I'm going to market myself. That's not. That is the tip of the iceberg. What else are you bringing to it? And just like Marco said, like how you use the comedic nature of how you write the copy on your page. Everything, every little aspect of it goes into being. If I met you in the room, I would instantly go, oh yeah, okay, I know you immediately because I've seen your website, I've seen all the other stuff. I'll shut up now.
So make sure you're known for something, you know, and that something is your brand. Really quickly, I see a lot of folks recording in here, and that's fine. But just to let you know, we're recording also, and this is going to be on the website, independentfilmmakers.org. In a few days, so you're more than welcome to go there and check it out as well. All right, so Tim, you have quite a few brands that you have to promote. The NZN itself, where we are right now, and Florida Film Festival. So talk to us about that.
Yeah, so I have, I kind of want to do this in a couple of passes, so kind of think of it in a 3-part process, but the short version is, Tim, I'm the programming coordinator at NZN Theater Florida Film Festival. I've been in this industry since the mid-1990s. And I started in production, I went into writing, and then I eventually went back into production, back out of writing, and started programming 15 years ago or something like that. It's all a blur at this point. But inside of all of those, I've probably had to do every element of what everybody here is going to do. So I guess one of the first questions I just want to ask you before I kind of go into my spiel is, how many of you have submitted a movie to a film festival in your entire life? Any film festival? That's about what I expected. Okay, good. I've got a lot of terrifying news for you. You're going to be very excited to hear it all. So, in terms of promotion, my job, how I promote for Florida Film Festival, how I promote from NCN, or the programs at NCN that I'm specifically a part of, like Freaky Fridays or Cult Classics, is that I just abuse social media because it's free. So, it's not necessarily free if you want to promote and elevate it, but for the most part, it's free, and if you pay attention to how your metrics work, it might get seen by people. So that's it, because NZN's marketing budget is very tiny, so there's a lot of hustle and flow in terms of that. In fact, so like, I've got this movie, I'm going to partner with these people for this thing or the other thing. And all of that is sort of kind of an academic exercise. What have you made? How do you want to get it out there? Who do you want to show it to? How do you target that? It also works really well in development, because if you're trying to raise funds, you might be able to utilize some of the same techniques. But what I kind of really want to focus on today is what to do with your movie once you've made it, and how to promote yourself through the film project that you did, and the sort of like paths that exist inside of it. So the short starting point is, congratulations, you've made a movie. What do you do with it? So my opinion is, and then I can talk about the values in each side of it, the pluses and the minuses, is you want to get your film into a film festival. And I know that I also want to talk to you about how film festivals decide if they want your product to begin with. Because that's the 50% of the battle you can't control is what the festival is looking for personally in any given year. But you can mitigate that risk by doing research. So I want to start with kind of your path A or path B of what to do with your movie now that you've, congratulations, finished it. And believe it is good enough to show the world. Because if you just want to just get it out there, you just throw it on YouTube and be done, and then you can hustle your ass off to try to get anyone to watch it. And maybe you'll go viral. TikTok's a whole other game. Like someone much smaller and or younger than I am should talk to you about it. So, the short version of kind of like position A, path A, if you will, is I think my movie is a masterpiece and I want to get it seen by the most important people possible because this is my future, this is my dream, it's what I want to do for my career. And I think it's important to establish what your goals are as a filmmaker, because if your goals are to have a kind of weekend warrior it and have a great time with your friends, that is a totally valid way to do it. If your goal is, I need to get to Atlanta to be working on Marvel movies, I need to get to LA to be working on this TV show, this major movie, I need the same thing, New York, TV show, movie, stage, whatever your goal, end game goal is, you kind of need to know what that is at the outset to determine if path A or path B is your best choice. So path A is this, like what I would call a kind of premium path. So you're going to take your film, you're going to start to research the kind of places that you want to play, meaning do they want the product that you make? So I'm going to use this as an example, and there is nothing against this, but I'm going to just use the Florida Film Festival because obviously that's what I have to deal with the most. If you make a Christian feature film, the odds are you're never going to get it in the Florida Film Festival. And it's not because we're anti-Christian. It's just that I don't think we've ever played one, and we're 36 years old. So in 36 years of playing tens of thousands of movies, we've never played your Christian drama. You probably didn't make the one that's getting in. So it's a good example of just the kind of things that do or do not happen. But there are a million Christian film festivals. Like, maybe not a million. Actually, there could be. Who knows?
Yeah, there's a
People
great one
open
here.
festivals like they're going out of style. So, short version is kind of like you do your research. You sort of pick like maybe like your top 20. It's like you're applying for college. Like, you got to have a safety school in there. Like, where's a festival I know anybody who works at, so I'm kind of guaranteed to sort of like move around the process a little bit more. You pick those festivals and you submit, and you only submit to those film festivals. And I can tell you a million strategies for ways to get your movie on the radar at a film festival, but I'll tell you the secret one that I tell every filmmaker that asks me that I like. So congratulations, I like all of you right now. Later, if you email me and annoy me, I won't like you as much. But I always tell my friends that are filmmakers that a strategy to get your movie on the radar of programmers at a film festival is to email the film festival and ask for a waiver code. And they won't give you one. And they shouldn't give you one. But a lot of times they will email you back a discount code. But most of the times they'll write you back and say, I'm really sorry. We just can't do that. Like, if we do it for you, we got to do it for everybody. And it drives us nuts. You don't care whether they say yes or not. That's the secret, because you're going to submit to the film festival anyway. So when the programmer, or programming coordinator, or director, or whoever it is, writes you back and says, we can't give you a code, then you're going to go submit the movie to the film festival immediately, and you're going to write them back and say, I totally understand where you're coming from, and I really appreciate it. We're so hyped to play your festival, we already submitted it.
That is true. As a former film festival director, yes, I have done that several
That will
times.
either save you money or will absolutely guarantee that the person who read your email doesn't think you're a douchebag.
Yep.
Okay? Because I do that all year long, and I would estimate that my success rate for getting the film submitted is about 2%. 2% of people I give the waiver code to. or the discount code, actually submit. Most of them don't submit at all, because they're doing that to every single film festival on Film Freeway. So anyway, that is your path one, and what your goal is to get into a festival of a caliber that you believe will be beneficial to your career going forward. Meaning you want to meet filmmakers that are working at a high caliber, you want to meet programmers that are working at a high caliber, and you want to meet festival directors, sales agents, anybody who might happen to be at that festival, including their jury members, which may also be industry representatives as well, typically from acquisitions or marketing. So that is path one. If you don't get into any of those film festivals in path one, so this is going to be a good 6-8 month process. You have kind of two choices. You can just sort of be like, well, the movie's dead, let's move on to the next movie because it's not getting in at the level I want to get it into. And then you throw it up on YouTube. Unless you did it under a SAG contract, then you got to verify that you can clear all of that shit. Don't just be popping up people's movies on YouTube. And your clearances, like if you've got music clearances and all of that. There's a lot of things about, before you put your movie on YouTube, you need to find out that you're not going to get like C and Ds like all day long. Those are cease and desist orders, if you don't know. Or you can then go to path B. You can then go to path B. Path B is to just blanketly submit to places you think you can get into. So, like, oh, well, I definitely made a horror movie, so now I'm going to hit the genre festivals. There's 100 million of them. And you can do that. And that, you're likely to get some acceptances, and that's fantastic. And whenever you get accepted, you have to go to the film festival, no matter what. And we'll get into that in a second. So, that's your path A that then becomes path B. If you opt for path B, you cannot combo path B and path A together. You cannot start at path A and B and walk down them at exactly the same time, because what is going to happen is that the film festivals that are in path B that have a lower sort of tolerance or a higher acceptance rate for projects that are on the better side of mediocre to good may accept your movie, which will remove your film generally from contention to get into the larger festivals that are in path number A. So everything I tell you is based on real world application. We world premiered a movie here a few years ago. A friend of mine is a programmer at Fantastic Fest. He said, this movie looks freaking awesome. Get me a screener. I sent them a screener. He said, get me the producer and the director. I got them the producer and the director. And then I asked a week later, hey dude, what's going on with blah, blah, blah's movie? And he goes, yeah, they played the Hill County Film Festival in Texas and therefore have violated the Texas premiere minimum that Fantastic Fest would have. I've never heard of the Hill County Film Festival. Turns out it's in Hill County, Texas, which is outside of the general Austin area, which is where Fantastic Fest occurs. So sort of between Austin, Houston, and dip down. And therefore their movie kind of like, they missed the opportunity to play at a film festival that generally requires world premieres, has massive industry presence, and it is the largest genre film festival in America.
Wider audience.
Yeah, and what they missed is also a guarantee of 4 sold-out screenings. Yep. Because Fantastic Fest is a badge-only film festival that is fully sold out every year, so every seat in every house is full for every show. And I'm sure at the Hill County Film Festival, they might have played for 100 people, maybe less. But none of them are going to get them a deal at Netflix or Shudder. So that is a good example of why you can't just jump down both ways at the exact same time. If you do the B path only, then just understand that you likely will take yourself sort of out of the run. So that brings me to going to film festivals, and then I'll jump into how to what we're looking for. And shut me up whenever you want to.
All right.
So if you get into a film festival, you need to go to the film festival. Okay, this is not a joke. Your budget should include your festival run when you make your movie. That is a post-production cost. Okay, so if you're planning to go apply to 20 film festivals and you know where everyone is at, you should be thinking like, well, what if I get into 10 of these? It's gonna cost me $10,000 to travel to all of them. That's not a problem if you plan for it. It is a problem if you don't, and then you don't go. because people will see your movie, but you're not there to talk to them. You're not there to meet them. And it's not that you need, meeting the audiences are great, because you don't know who's in the audience. There's festivals that I would tell people to play in Florida, not necessarily because I think they're the greatest film festival that's happening in Florida, but because I know people with money go to those film festivals, and often filmmakers find a, kind of angel investor out of all of that. But the other reason to do it is to meet the industry people that are there, especially the ones that don't live in that town that have come in, and to meet the other filmmakers that are on the exact same journey that you're on. And meeting those filmmakers is gold. And it's what these two guys are talking about continuously throughout their thing, which is that meeting people and getting to know people and liking people is the only way you actually become successful in this industry. You can be a dick like James Cameron later when you've made billions of dollars. Yeah. Like, you just don't get to do it from day one because no one will work with you no matter how good you are. Like, Marlon Brando didn't start out that way. Like, he got there. It's very simple. So,
Tim, let me ask you a quick question. So, what if you don't get into the festival? Do you think there's still importance in attending the festival so that you can network?
Oh my God, I love you.
That's what I'm here for.
That's
what I'm here for.
This is what's going to come up in my wet festival for whoever's looking for. I have been programming in this town independent films for local filmmakers for 14 years, and I can count on one hand the number of those filmmakers that I have seen come to the Florida Film Festival in the same town they live in, which has triple Oscar accreditation. And those filmmakers unanimously, continually tell me, why don't you take more of our movies in the Florida Film Festival? And I say to them, do you even know what movies we are playing in the Florida Film Festival? So, I don't want to jump up and down on the Florida Film Festival too much, but yes, for God's sake, if there is a film festival in your town, go to it. Not because you want to watch all these movies, because you're literally to size up your competition. What are they making that got in if you didn't get in? So, this goes back to something I used to tell people a lot, and I'm trying not to sidebar too much. But when I started making films and doing film school and art school in the early 1990s, it cost $25,000 to make a short film. Easily. Just shooting on 35mm film, easily cost $25,000. I still tell filmmakers that approach me today who can make all the content they want on their smartphone. If you weren't willing to spend $25,000 to make the content you just made on your phone, is it that important of a project to make? Like, if you weren't willing to go that far into debt to make the movie, then is that the movie you have to tell? Is that the story you're dying to tell? I'm not saying you have to have the $25,000, just would you, if you had it, make this story? Like, if you had to max all your credit cards out and take a second mortgage on your house, would you do that? Because the filmmakers that win Oscars now, that's what they did in the 80s and the 1990s to get those movies made, and it's why the proliferation of amount of movies that I watch every year has increased 100% just in 7 years.
Yeah.
So there were 1,100 domestic narrative live-action shorts submitted to this year's Florida Film Festival, accepting 29 for competition is a 2.7% acceptance rate.
That is crazy.
That means if you didn't make a movie in the top 98 percentile of what we watched, you're not getting in. So,
Tim, if you don't mind, I want to hold on to meeting folks at the festival.
Yeah.
And I want to bring Will Covington in here because a lot of folks, when they are talking about their films, they're also looking for people to put music in their films. And Will, I know this is your expertise, this is your lane. So how would you, for our musicians out here, what advice would you give them to, get their music into these films and promote themselves?
Well, the first thing that I would tell you to get your music into a film would be copyright the music. That would be the first step that you take. The next step that you take actually to get it into a film, build a relationship with music supervisors or even independent filmmakers. Build a relationship with them so that they will at least listen to your music, listen to how you put it together, listen to the story that your music tells. Music is just like a film. It tells a story. So if it tells a story, then what you end up doing, you impress the person that's making the film. And once you begin to impress him with that, then he will give you an opportunity to say, hey, you know what? Let me see if this song fits this scene in a movie. Now, a lot of times what we run into for you people who are beginning to be in the music side of the film business, you look at it and you say, hey, I see all these apps and I can send my music to these music supervisors, or I send it to these different apps and you know, that's gonna place my music into a movie. Well, that don't really happen that way. You know, they have music libraries that you can go on to your telephone or computer and you can pull it up and they say, submit your music to me. And I'm gonna, you know, and you get a chance to put on a movie. But what happened is, if you got 2,000 songs in a library, what's gonna make them take yours? What's gonna make them take yours is one thing that all of us up here talk about: relationships. Having relationships with the individuals that are able to put your music on a movie. Now, we have different ways of doing that. One way is we submit the songs to whoever filming the movie, once we build that relationship with them. Or we have them to send us a clip of the movie so that we can see what song that we have to produce that would fit that particular scene. Once we decide that's what's going on, then we work out and we get all the paperwork together that we need. We have to make sure that our music is cleared so that the filmmakers, they don't have a problem when they ask us for the music. We make sure, because that's another problem. So you have a lot of different steps when you're trying to get music onto film that you have to go through as a person in the music business. It's not as complicated as it sounds, but you got to have the knowledge of the steps that you must take. You got to be able to copyright your music. You got to be able to publish your music. So that publishing everything is going to be up to what they're going to do. When they look at your music, they're going to make sure that it's clear before they can even use it. If it's not clear, they're not going to put that music on a film because it'll cause them a problem. And these gentlemen, you know, anybody that's in the film industry, they don't want any problems, especially when it comes to the music being played. We have a lot of individuals, and I know they constantly put music out, and they constantly putting it on YouTube. And they say, oh man, my song is on YouTube, it's on this, you know, but there are circumstances and regulations that you must follow. It's just like the sampling. You can't even sample people's music. And they, sometimes, I don't know who started this, that they can just sample people's music when they get ready, and it's okay. But you can't even sample 3 seconds of somebody else's music, you know, without getting sued. They will not sue you because you ain't making no money. So that's why they don't bother you. But once you start making some money, here they come. They coming at you. They don't care about you putting their song out now. You know, put it out, build it up, build up the promotions on it. Once you get the promotions going and they see it, the next thing you know, you got a letter, a cease and desist letter, which they were talking about. You get that first. But let it stay out there, the next thing you're gonna get is a lawsuit. So, but to get it into a movie, into a film, you must definitely make sure that you have your production right. You got to be able to produce, mix, and master the song. It has to be mastered to the point of where the people who are doing movies, they understand the clarity of it. So a lot of times that clarity of it means that, I don't know how many of you know about Dolby. You know about the Dolby sound, but do you know about Atmos Dolby? See, that's something else. That is the sound that you hear in the movies. And that's the sound that you gotta create, and you gotta be able to create that in the studio. Every studio doesn't have that sound that you go in to record in. So if you don't have that sound, it's very hard for you to get your music pitched to a filmmaker that's making money. And back to the $25,000, if you don't have any money to do a production, do a music production, you have to do just what these gentlemen were saying. You have to find somebody who don't mind investing in what you're doing, because it costs money to produce records. You cannot, all the guys that have these, and I call them bathroom studios, that's what I call them. That's the little studio in the house. Oh man, I did my own production. Okay, you did. But did you go and have it mixed in a major studio? Did you have it mastered in a mixing or mastering lab? It's a difference between getting a mastering amp and having it mastered in a mastering lab where the ears for the mastering is trained. The engineer that does nothing but master engineering. That's all they do. They don't do any regular mastering off an app. And so when you try to get your thing, get your music into film, one thing that you make sure you do, build a great relationship with the filmmakers.
And Will, would you say it's important to make sure that if you're an artist, make sure you get with a music supervisor, and on the other side, if you're a filmmaker, make sure you get with the music supervisor, because they're going to be that in-between person to kind of help you out and save you time, right?
Yes, you need both situations in order to improve on what you're doing. The filmmaker can help you, and you can help the filmmaker. If you have a great relationship, if both of you have a great relationship with each other, then it's easy for the relationship to expand to where everybody's successful.
That's great information. And I'm a case study. When I was doing my TV pilot, Waking Up White, a few years ago, which Marco actually helped cast for that. Thank you, Marco. I got with the music supervisor right from the beginning, and I would show them the scenes, and then I showed them the script, and then I would show them the scenes, so that music supervisor could go out and find the perfect music for those scenes and make sure that there were clearances, so I didn't have to worry about getting sued or anything like that. So it's important to have somebody like that on your team to protect you. Again, protecting your brand.
Can I say something real quick about that Will touched on? I think that's phenomenally good to understand as filmmakers. Every year we get tons of DCPs of the deliverables of the films that have never been watched in a movie theater before by anyone. Your movie does not look in a movie theater like it looks on your computer. Like, it doesn't look a little bit like it at all. So if you get a film done, especially a major feature film completed, you need to QC it in a movie theater. Okay, and that's really true also on the audio design, because we have had people deliver what they believed was a 5.1 channel setup where all of the audio came out of the left speaker, not the center. And that was done by major post houses that did not QC it. So that's very important.
Any musicians,
Your
artists,
stuff at home
producers
ain't
here?
like that.
Couple? Okay. All right. Good. You're up. Yeah, definitely.
So I think we're at the point of the panel now where we're noticing all of the other things that are like drawing all of this together. There's one thing that I just tapped into is one thing that everyone is saying across the board is that, and this is a tough pill to swallow, but there has to be a lot of investment without a guarantee of a return on that investment. So in a business, there's an ROI. And a lot of folks will look at if I'm gonna spend $25,000, then I better make $40,000 back. That's right, and they're going into it, they're developing a product, stuff like that. But everyone up here is talking about how, what is that? The definition of luck is preparation meets timing, right?
Yep.
It's the same thing. There is no guarantee for anyone in this room that you're going to get that return on investment.
No, I mean, if that were true, there would never be a box office bomb. They always
Yeah.
ask me, like, how do you make the perfect movie? And I said, if Hollywood knew that, no one would ever lose money, and everyone would make $1 billion on their movie.
Yeah.
But probably 75% of movies lose money, so they didn't work.
And that comes down to the training, the learning how to copyright, the publishing, the thinking through the budgeting, the planting your garden, which is an investment of your time and your money, of going through and finding those connections on those relationships, developing content for free and putting it out there and making that. And ultimately, we're all artists. That's what we do anyway. Even if we weren't getting paid, we would continue doing this, which is the blessing and the curse of how our minds work, right? Like, we wouldn't stop. But anybody know the author of Eat, Pray, Love? Gilbert, Elizabeth Gilbert? Is that it, Elizabeth?
Sounds right.
She has a TED Talk, and this is going to be a downer. I'm sorry, but she has a TED Talk where she wrote Eat, Pray, Love. It was her first ever novel, or maybe first published novel. I don't know. You'd have to go watch it. But anyway, it was a huge success. Eat, Pray, Love. Everyone's heard of it. It was a movie. It was a book. It was everything. And then after that, everyone in her life came up to her and said, "So what are you going to do next? What are you going to do next?" And she had this mind-numbing realization that there comes a point where your best work is already behind you. And we don't know when that's going to hit.
We run into that problem a lot in the music industry because everybody think they got a hit song. Everybody that do a record, they think they have a hit song. Well, a hit song take a lot of work.
Mm-hmm.
Coming up with a hit record, you don't just sit down today and build it out. I got a song, man. I create that song in 3 hours. You can't create no hit song in 3 hours. I don't know anybody that have had a hit record in 3 hours. Now, I know a lot of people who've done a song in 3 hours, but the song didn't sell 1 million copies. It takes a lot of work, and it takes a lot of people. One person don't do it. It takes a lot of people. We have producers, we have songwriters, we have engineers. All of these different people are a part of the components that make hit records. And you need to understand, first of all, the business of entertainment, the business of music. That's why they call it the music business. They don't call it the artist business. They call it the music business. So once you begin to understand that it is a business, then you can go in the direction of making money. Because number one, you're gonna have to spend some money. So if you don't have any money to spend, you better find somebody who got it.
Yeah, I always tell my students that I'm not here to focus on show business. I'm here to focus on the business of show. Yeah, behind the scenes. All right, so it's about 12:07. Let's go ahead and open it up for Q&A now. I know there are some great questions out there, and you have subject matter experts up here, and you can get your questions answered immediately. Any questions? All right, the mic will come around. Start with this gentleman here.
I was going to let someone that's more relevant start, but nobody raised their hand.
Don't undersell yourself.
I'm a producer. I'm not doing it for profit. I'm not doing it for career. I was talking with this gentleman. It's on my bucket list. I want to make a movie. So I've spent about 40 hours a week since June getting all the pieces of the puzzle together. And my fear at this point is when I go out for a casting call, you're going to look me up, like you say, you do research and all, say, who's that guy? And I won't get the people to apply to be auditioned for my position, the cast and crew. I got one good crew member so far. But so how do I promote me as a producer that people will take as viable and quality cast will audition?
Tim, you want to take that?
I'm not sure I know how to answer it best.
There's lots of variables to this.
Yeah.
But we'll all
Can
probably
I
end up
ask you
taking
at
little
the
pieces.
beginning, do you have a screenplay?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, just making sure.
And then I've had about 4 people that know what to do and look at it and say,
Okay.
that'll work.
All right.
the
So
teenage
if
version
you
of
have
it.
the financing and you already have a screenplay, then you're sort of halfway there to getting a cast and crew. You're not necessarily halfway there to getting a cast and crew that are good, but you can literally go on. I mean, I know filmmakers that have major backing for their projects that still go onto social media and say like, hey, hit up. You gotta have a website. You can't just be like an email. You need a website. Just get a Squarespace. They cost virtually nothing. Make a nice looking website that's professional. Pitch your project. If you can do some storyboards, or if you can do some kind of get some artwork commissioned or things like that are just kind of selling your story. You still have to convince people that you're legitimate, because creepy people say I have a whole bunch of money and a screenplay, come to my house. And then you're in sold and off. So don't. Make yourself look really, really good. Sell yourself, explain the project. You're the most passionate person about your project, so you can sell your project by, putting your passion out there. And then you've really got to get somebody with you as an associate producer, as an executive producer. You got to get somebody with you that's done this before. I can't even begin to describe to you how much goes wrong on a film set. It's more than you could fathom if you expected 100% of things to go wrong on a film set. 135% of them are going to go wrong. So you need somebody there so that you don't crash and burn and waste everybody's time. But in terms of crewing up and getting a cast, you can do that in social media. You can partner with some of the local. You can reach out to Fringe. You can reach out to the independent theater companies that are in town. You reach out to UCF. You can reach out to Full Sail. All of them have got students that are interested in working on projects to varying degrees of technical proficiency. But you can't just Orlando's not the place where you could just hit up Green Room Orlando like you could 20 years ago and find a full crew ready to shoot for you, because if they work constantly in Orlando, they're working 5 days a week shooting commercials at Universal Studios, because that's our industry. So, that's the best thing I can tell you. I know it's the perfect answer, but you need a legitimate site. You need to sell yourself. And people will come to you, and your job is going to be to weed out the ones that are going to not help you at all, which is going to be 99% of them. And you got to find somebody who likes you a lot, that knows what they are doing, because a producer who has never made a movie before is scary to me.
I can tell you also, there's a great organization here. Again, we're here for organization of independent filmmakers, but there's also Orlando Independent Filmmakers, run by Miss Sevilla LaRusso here. And they get together at least 4 or 5 times a year and do short films. I would encourage you to
That's what I'm looking at, a 9-minute Legends
Good.
criteria, but I don't plan to put it in Legends, it's too late.
Okay, get involved with that organization, and they have fantastic filmmakers in there who I have witnessed where they went from not knowing anything to running their own production. So
The other thing I'd add, I've been an entrepreneur for over 30 years. I know ROI and all that stuff.
Right.
I've done special events, tripled my budget for this movie, so I'm comfortable from that perspective, but how do you tell somebody that?
Jordan, you wanted to jump in on that real quick?
Yeah.
That's good, actually. That's something you should say. You should be able to talk about, I put together this event with these 200 people, things that are ran, and all these elements to
Say
it.
something
Because
goes
that makes
wrong.
me think that you're not going to burn the set down while you're on.
I had an outdoor event, and it snowed for the first time in 103 years where my outdoor event was.
That's every day of filmmaking.
Get
You just
insurance.
described every day on a movie set.
Hurry up and wait. Yeah.
Jordan?
I think Marco and I are probably going to tag team this a little bit, but coming from the actor side of things, you're like, how do I make sure that I'm filling the cast and crew with dependable folks who are going to allow me to continue to see my vision through, right? It comes down to transparency, and the more information, I'll tell you straight out, as an acting coach and as a teacher and as an actor myself, seeing a casting call on social media, I'm already 50% ready to pass on it, right?
Yep.
If there's any, and I tell actors all the time, if there is a yellow flag that pops up anywhere in the casting process now, imagine how many red flags there are going to be once you actually get into set, right? So things that are helpful, and I'll hand this off to you later if you want. But what actors are looking for, we're looking for transparency with the dates, the shoot dates of when you're gonna need us. We're looking for transparency with the rate of pay. If it's free, that's totally fine, but we just need to know that. We're looking for transparency with sensitive content, including nudity, excessive language, any racial trauma, anything like that. And on the flip side of that, are there going to be coordinators on set who are going to help us with that transition? Is there if there is nudity or sexual content, is there an intimacy coordinator who's going to be there to make sure that we are all agreeing to tell the story in a provocative yet safe way? Same thing with stunt coordinators, stuff like that. And of course, armorists. If there is a weapon on set, having an armorist, right? And I see you going, yeah, I got all this, right?
There's a witch.
Thoughtful breakdowns, not character breakdowns that say legs for days, because that's a physical descriptor. That's not nobody can play that, right? But going through and treating these actors as artists and giving them stuff they can sink their teeth into. And then I'm not a crew person, but I would imagine that just like just like Tim just threw out there, that like throwing out that clout of I've run things that are 3 times larger than this. Finding those leaders who will be overseeing the crew, then you're going to get, if you have a good DP, if you have a good first AD, then everybody else is going to go, oh, I trust them, so inherently I trust you.
Yeah, what he's talking about is what you call a department head, and which means that you need somebody that can handle lighting, and your DP might be able to bring that person along, or if you need somebody to handle sets, they might have electrical come along with them as well. Sometimes lighting can get you electrical, but there are 2 or 3 key people like you really need to have to even pull off the smallest short film that they can then provide you the people they already know and trust, because 2K lights ain't cheap.
No.
So you don't give like a student this bag of like a 2K and then just they drop it and your budget just went way up.
Yeah.
Like when that happens.
Marco, did you want to jump in on that?
Yeah, I'll say from the actor standpoint, if I myself as an actor, the one thing I would look for, I'm okay that you're a first-time producer. I'd want to meet you and talk to you and get a feel. Again, it's a personal connection. Then I would want to know who's the director, and I would want to have a history on the director, and then I want to know who's the director of photography, and I want a history on the director of photography. I would need to know what the plan is for what this film is going to be, what it's going to look like, and I'm at the point in my career where I don't want to take that big of a risk with an unknown director or director of photography. So those are kind of the key things. And I need to get along, which is interesting. The director's important, director of photography. I need to get along with the producer too. I've walked away from projects before when the director and DP were fine, but I wasn't comfortable with the producer. So you do play a big role there. Build a team around you. As has been said, this is a team game. It's an ensemble. And so we need people around us. And so have an associate producer or a producer. Just build people around you that can help you do this. Treat people with respect. And then the biggest thing, probably the thing I speak the most on over the past couple years is safety. And you had brought up safety. Yeah. The thing I'm called in to talk about, the thing I teach at UCF, is now I've always taught physical safety as it relates to stunts, but now it's intimate safety. Intimacy safety, bring on someone that can help you with that. This is as simple as, really, my rule of thumb is that no physical contact between 2 actors should ever be improvised. Ever. So it must be choreographed. And many directors and producers don't know how to deal with that, so it's important to bring on somebody to then say, okay, we can help you do this. That way we remove any inappropriateness from that. Knowing as an actor, knowing that what you're shooting, but that also you're going to keep the actors and the artists safe during the process, that's a big deal. That's a big deal.
That's a lot of great information for you there. So you can follow up with the panel afterwards. Next question here, young lady.
Hi, I'm Stacey Corbett. I have a question. As an actor, how can I be a better teammate at promoting the films? Because I know it's different from like the SAG things I've done versus the indie things I've done. I do mostly independent things, and I know I can, and I do, show up to film festivals when I'm aware that they're happening. But I feel like there's a lot more I could be doing with social media, but when you do a SAG film, there's a lot of limits on when you can post, but you don't tend to get that guidance on an indie film. So I was wondering how, as an actor, I could be a better teammate at promoting the independent productions I'm on.
I think you guys should start with that. I mean, I have, my short version is that you shouldn't do anything outside of the permission that you've been given by the filmmaking team. So, and if you don't know, just ask them. So
Ask the producer.
Be like, hey, when can we announce this? When can I start promoting it? Because you're just free promotion for them. They want you to do this. I promise you. Like, and that's the very base minimum. I want them to talk about it more since they've had to do that more. And I'll just rep the don't do things you haven't asked to do.
Yeah, make sure that promotion is within line of what they're doing.
That really is a big one of helping, is making sure you're not releasing information, photos or anything else prior to when the production says it's okay. But you said you're going to film festivals. That's an important piece too. Mm-hmm. Showing up and supporting the product. And typically when you go to a film festival and the team is there, actors are there, many times they'll even have a Q&A afterwards. You'll get to mingle with other people. It helps promote. The best way I can say it is when I'm at a film festival and I'm watching a film, and then there's an actor, a director, a DP, there's somebody there and I get to talk to them, it personalizes it. It makes this is an industry of people. It's an industry of humans. And when there's a human contact that we can have, all of a sudden, I like the film just a little more than I did before because I know who you are. It makes it personal, and I now have a personal connection into it. And so it goes a long way. Showing up to a film festival, as an artist, goes a long way with the promotion of the film, and then of course yourself.
I'll say as an example of this, and I don't want to jump on Jordan because I know he's got stuff to say too, is that very rarely do I notice that the casts come to film festivals. A lot of it is just due to the fact that if they're working a lot, they can't come. A lot of it is, it's a travel expense, and you're not going to usually probably see any return from that. But I can give you, I'm going to use one example. There's a director, her name is Ali Migliori, she's a phenomenal director. She happened to be directing a movie one year here that played at the Florida Film Festival. The same year, Megan Seeley, who's an actress/director from South Florida, came to the film festival to promote her movie. They met, they became besties. Ali has directed 3 or 4 major things. She has cast Megan in every single one of those. That is only because they met each other. Megan has not directed anything. Actually, she just completed a feature film. She's not directed anything else that's been on the circuit in 6 or 7 years. But she's acted in probably 25 major projects, and several of those were directed by Ali, who works with Reese Witherspoon's company and has directed insane amounts of TV. So that's only because they came to the film festival and they needed beer together at the same time.
Right. Jordan? So I'm going to throw myself onto the bus here. I am that guy that everyone's talking about, who's like, if you don't go to the film festival, I don't go to film festivals, and I'm so sorry. But yeah, it's okay to hate me, and I'm learning from being up here, right? But I'll tell you, one of the reasons why is because I've been a member of SAG-AFTRA for the past 12 years, and so I don't have the opportunity to work on a lot of independent films. And as the egotistical guy that I am, I don't go to a film festival unless I'm in it or unless I know somebody who is putting up a film, right? And that's my own downfall, and I need to get better at that, right? But also, if anyone wants to start producing more SAG-AFTRA projects, then, hit me up. And
your logic's actually not totally flawed. It makes total sense. I understand exactly why you're doing your strategy.
Yeah. So
don't do his strategy for you until you're SAG-AFTRA for years.
Yeah. But here's the thing. Still go market. Still go, be a part of that. But I want to approach it from the other side of this as well, of even if you signed an NDA, a non-disclosure agreement, you can still celebrate this. As you can still celebrate it, right? You can say, I just got cast in a major thing. I can't tell you anything about it yet. I'm so sorry. But you can still throw that rock into the lake and watch the ripples. It's fine. You can even put it on your resume. But put NDA, put untitled, put, NDA project, guest star, whatever, right? You're not giving away information, you're still promoting, but, and that's the other thing too, is this, again, it's gonna sound egotistical, but because I've been SAG-AFTRA, all of the projects that I'm working on don't need my promotion. It's me promoting myself. No one needs to, Homeland isn't being Jordan tweeted about us. They don't care, you know? So like it's me being like, guys, I'm on a major show, check this out, right? And so finding those ways to don't break any NDAs, don't be dumb about it, don't shoot yourself in the foot. There's a guy who was on Walking Dead who posted a behind the scenes photo from the 100th episode, and it gave away some spoilers. And he was killed in the next episode. So, yeah, it's ridiculous. So that's, you know, from the other side of this, like, do everything you can, ask the producer, follow the guidelines, don't do anything dumb. But as the artist, your job is to still promote yourself and say, I wish I could tell you everything, but I can't. But something big is on the horizon. I'm really excited to talk about it.
Great answers, great answers. Thank you. Next question. Who has the mics? Where are the mics? Lenny, all right.
Hello, good afternoon. My name is Chase Shelley. I wanted to ask your, I guess, advice and guidance for those of us who are baby multi-hyphenates, how to best present ourselves as that and not come across as like, you know, jack of trades, master of none. Because we've all seen that movie, you know, written by, starred and directed and me. But as a writer, as a musician, as a producer, actress, I mean, how do you...
What are you mostly known for?
I'm mostly, well, half. I'm a local jazz singer, but I also...
I was so hoping you would say that.
Got the voice.
Yeah.
We believe you.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
See, ta-da. But no, Xavier and Lenny, they know me as starring in films, but then they saw me perform.
Yeah.
But then I grew up overseas, so I was writing for years, so trying to get into that as well. So, yes, your advice for that, please.
I think I'll jump in here. I think it really depends on the environment you're in at the time. If you're at a music festival, hey, I'm a jazz singer. You know, I do this. You know, if I'm at a film festival, I'm a writer and I'm a producer. And then, you know, if they
Have all the hats in your back pocket?
Yeah, have all the hats in your back pocket. So if they say, hey, I'm looking for an actress who can actually sing. Oh, by the way, yeah, I'm a jazz singer as well. You know, as well as an actor. Anyone want to jump on that?
Yeah, do you have on your jazz productions? Do you have music that you can actually sing to a person that's doing a film, so they can hear what you do as a jazz artist?
You mean like on iTunes and
Like
Spotify?
SoundCloud or anything?
Oh, yes, I do.
Okay, well, that should be your first step. Your first step should be making sure that if you want to be acting in a film and you want to act in it as a singer, that make sure that they hear what you're able to do. That would be, one of the first steps. But also in that step, remember what I said? Make sure that your music is copyrighted.
Oh, yes. No, I'm paranoid. I've heard all the horror stories.
You got it copyrighted?
Yes, sir.
Okay, let me ask you a question. What are the 2 copyrights that you need?
The National
What are
Library?
the 2 copyrights that you need?
Library of Congress?
Library of Congress? Yeah.
No. I didn't ask where. I asked what.
Oh, I'm sorry. ASCAP BMI.
No. Listen. ASCAP and BMI are only collection agencies. They do not copyright your music. They only collect the royalties for you. Okay? So, listen, you need to copyright a SR form and a PA form. Those are the 2 copyright forms that you must have. A lot of artists, they copyright with only 1 form, and that's the SR. But you need both, 1 for the lyrics and 1 for the sound recording.
Where would they submit them? Where do they submit those forms?
You will submit those forms to the U.S. Copyright Office, and it will be uscopyrights.gov in Washington,
yes.
D.C. Yeah, but make sure you do 2.
Good. Great advice. Anyone else? Jordan?
For me, Chase, hi. This comes, and I'm I'm a fake it till you make it type guy, but what that comes down to is ownership. If you walked into a club right now and you knew the pianist up on stage and they invited you up for a song and it was the standard, then you would have that agency and that ownership to get up on that stage and go, yeah, I'm good, I'll roll with the punches while we go, right? But there are probably other parts of this potential multi-hyphenate scenario where you're like, oh, God, no, if I found myself in that situation, I would probably poop myself, right? So, continue leveling up those areas. If you go to the gym right now and your legs are, you hate working out your legs, then your job is to work out your legs twice as much as everything else so that the rest of your body is ready to go when it needs to. So for me, it comes down to that, putting yourself in some of those uncomfortable situations and saying, okay, if I want to be a writer, my goal is to write 3 short films and start to submit them to OIF, and let's see if one of them gets in. And if you don't know how to do that, then you go read a book and you take a class and it's that ownership in each of those steps to get to the point where now you can show up and be like, no, I am an expert. Yeah.
And I'm sorry if I wasn't clear.
No.
How to best present that, because my website is mostly my music, but I do have IMDb, I do have screenwriting credits, I have submitted Sunscreen. So without appearing so scattered,
Yeah.
that's where I want to, again, you have this list of
Where is your
credentials.
audience?
Sorry?
Where's your audience? Are they in person? Are they on your social media? Like, who are you hoping to get this in front of?
Orlando and Tampa.
Okay. Just in general, just the whole community, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And overseas, I still have
Okay.
people back in the Philippines.
Yeah. So I'd say, yeah. So Kim just said, get some reels together, and yeah, that's
segregate your reels.
You got
Make
TikTok,
a reel for your
Instagram.
music, get a reel for your acting, get a reel for productions that you've directed and written, and don't do one reel that says I'm an actor, director, producer, editor, cinematographer.
Thank you. So
Do
keep
one of
it-
each thing
do
and
keep
segregate.
it in different categories. Okay.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
on your
because it's very
website-
unlikely someone wants to hire you to do all of those things at exactly the same time.
And all you need is a minute. No one's gonna watch a full minute. They'll be bored.
Yeah, 1
Yeah.
minute reel. Oh, absolutely.
But on your website, put everything that you do. Just put
Yeah.
it in different areas.
Yeah,
Okay.
segment.
All right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Like different categories, Like this is what I've done here, and here.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank
So that-
you.
Yeah.
All right, next.
It's a little roundabout, doesn't it?
Yes.
My name is Lyndall. I'm a screenwriter and playwright. Spent most of my time in theater, but based on the discussion that we've already had, I'm there and there and there and there. What I need now, and I am prepared to do what I'm about to do, I need a partner filmmaker. My screenplay, my short screenplay, Hounded, needs to be out there. And I've got a lot of experience, particularly this past year, trying to learn what it takes to make a film. And I've come to this crossroads because making a movie is hard.
Is this your pitch?
I've heard it, yeah, that's my pitch.
What's-
And since I come from a background of print production, I've got some blurbs here. If you want to talk with me afterwards, I'll be available.
You want to give us your log line for hounding?
Yes, and I'm still working on it.
Okay.
Matter of fact, I'm going to read it to make sure.
Okay.
A mysterious hound forces a woman to confront her relationship to her deceased family. And it's 12 minutes long now.
All right.
All right.
I would definitely encourage you to get with this young lady here, Sevilla LaRusso, Orlando Independent Filmmakers, and she can point you in the right direction. Great. And Lenny, yes. And Lenny.
And Lenny
I'm sorry.
is fine.
Next question, where are the mics? Where are the mics? Who's got the next mic? Tom.
Yes, sir.
All right. Let's go with Tom. He's here.
Okay.
Yeah.
No worries. Hello. How are you guys? Yo, shout out Marco. Truthful Acting was there for 2 semesters. He is a fantastic acting teacher. I highly encourage you to go to his studio. And Jason Gregory, fantastic film, producing freaking Animal, my God, first UCF teacher I had. All right, so my question for the panel. So I'd love for all of you guys to chip in on this. My name's Tom Ledford. I am a commercial video production company. So I'm in the 2nd year of my commercial video production company, and I see other video production companies putting on their website big name partners that they've worked with, such as like McDonald's, Disney, like Cat Construction Company. I would just like to know, how does one like myself get in touch with these big franchises?
For production?
Correct,
Production
yes,
work?
behind the camera, videoing them.
I would go to the agencies.
Yeah, it's agency work.
Yeah, it's agency work.
And I can tell you when I had my production company, the way we started in it was going to the other major agencies, the production agencies in town. Not talent agencies, production agencies. And there's big ones that have most of that work. They do almost all the work commercially. You can begin working with them on those productions, and then eventually you tear off and create your own. And that's what led us into all of the big names, to be able to do that. But we started working with all of the big production houses.
Yeah, and all the agencies are always looking for additional crew because
Yes.
people rotate in, rotate out, move, stuff like that. So yeah, start with talking to the advertising agencies and just see what their needs are.
All right, so production agencies, look for them, okay, and connect with them.
Production and advertising agencies.
Yeah,
Production,
and I could offline I could tell you what some of them are.
Okay,
Yeah.
sounds good.
Good
Thank
question.
you guys. Appreciate it.
All right, gentleman in the back here, Lenny.
Good morning, everybody. My name is J. Anthony Dagyar. I wanted to first thank you guys very much for speaking. And it's the information you guys provided has been incredible already. So I appreciate that very much, and you're taking the time to speak with us. And then secondly, it's good to see so many faces here as a part of this. I'm looking forward to being able to meet all of you. I'm kind of after COVID getting back into the production side of things, and it's a very, very exciting time, and it's very exciting to see so many people here doing the same thing. My question, though, is for the premium path that Tim was mentioning,
Yeah.
what would you say would be the top 10 film festivals that on your premium path that we should be submitting our work to?
Oh, you're gonna get my hate speech. Okay, so I'm gonna start with, you're not gonna like my answer, which is that depends on what you made, what movie you made, like completely, which I cannot stress enough. But let me do this. Let me say that Movie Maker magazine publishes a list every single year. They actually publish like 2 or 3 lists throughout the year. And Filmmaker magazine does something similar, and they're called like festivals worth the entry fee. And it means that those festivals have been vetted pretty aggressively for very, very long periods of time to determine what value you have in getting into those festivals. I would start with whatever project you made and start looking at 3 or 4 years worth of those festivals, because they rotate in and out. Florida's won it quite a few times, but you don't win it every single year because there's a lot of film festivals. There's 8,000 in the United States alone. So there's like 200 in Florida. So you want to do is to whittle it down to what you want to call like the A-tier path line. You should look at that list, and that list has specialties. So you might say like, so you're a black filmmaker, you might be making primarily content aimed directly to an audience of African Americans or in conjunction with. So there might be some festivals that you see on there that would just be absolutely fantastic. Same thing if you're an LGBTQ filmmaker, if you're a female filmmaker, there are major film festivals like Bentonville, which is founded by Jenna Davis, your film must be a film about women. You don't have to be the director of it, does not necessarily have to be a woman. However, if you're not a female director, it better be written and produced by and pretty much starring all women. So if I make Reservoir Dogs, it ain't getting in Bentonville. So no matter how good you think Reservoir Dogs is. So that is what I would do, and I would tell you that the film festivals that make those lists, that all the hard work was already done for you. on that. So, and there's going to be festivals on there you've never heard of, but there's also going to be like Sundance and Sundance. So I'm going to give you this one statement about Sundance because everybody thinks that that is their number one choice to go into. I want all of you as a project, when you consider applying to Sundance, to go to the previous year's Sundance Film Festival, and I want you to look up every single movie that got in that is in the category you're going to submit to, and I want you to IMDb the name of the director or the producer of that movie and find out that if they went through the Sundance lab or if their film is a producer with a multi-Sundance alumni. Because last year, the narrative features competition contained 0 movies that were not from Sundance alumni, and they get 15,000 submissions. And the shorts program, I only think I counted 5 of maybe the 30 that got in that were not people who went through Sundance's lab or did not have a producer attached to their movie. So the Sundance acceptance rate is 0.03%, I believe is what it is.
Man, I love that you know
If
these
you eliminate the people that already played Sundance, it's like 25, 30 movies out of 150.
Yeah. Who is your audience?
Yeah.
Well, so the piece that I will be working on is sort of like it's a love story piece, kind of like I guess you could say maybe like one of the old school Miramax sort of comedies of that. It's not really there's not really a racial connotation to it other than the fact that yes, I am black.
So it's general market. It's just
but
it's
I mean,
open.
it's a general comedy.
I can't tell because there's a big spotlight in my face and you're just a blur.
Yeah. So that would be the general. That's the general theme of it. So I'm looking at.
There's a lot of festivals that take that kind of like old school 90s indie American cinema thing. Tribeca still programs a lot of stuff that way. TIFF, believe it or not, Toronto International Film Festival, I continually go to movies there where I was like, oh my god, this comedy's pretty funny. I definitely saw it back in like 1996 though, but it's still pretty good. Yeah. So you'd be surprised at major film festivals that content like that does still get into, but like if you make that movie and you send it to Slam Dance, it ain't gonna get in. If you send it to South by Southwest, it ain't gonna get into South by Southwest. It's just not what they program. So, but there are festivals. Cleveland is a great example of festivals that program content like that. I think San Francisco is a great festival to program films like that. Also, things like San Francisco and Seattle and Cleveland are massive festivals. They're programming 300 films. There's a better chance of getting in there. Probably the festival that I would submit to number one if I made a classic old school mid-90s indie is Cinequest. So Cinequest in California picks a lot of stuff. A lot of stuff just, it's not what I would call edgy indie fare. It definitely plays to the masses.
Yeah, and make sure you're very strategic about these festivals that you're submitting in, because these festivals cost money. And you know, if they're not accepting your genre, don't force it. Don't put it in here and say, well, they've never seen anything like this before. Don't do it.
They have too.
They have. They've seen it before. They're going to take your money and say thank you, and your film's not going to get in. Be very strategic about where you submit your films.
And to take that and to carbon copy it for all the actors in the room too. It's the agent that you approach, the manager that you approach, the headshot photographer that you approach. It all comes down to your brand and how these people are going to understand and broadcast your brand, as opposed to saying, I like you and 20 people recommended you. Like, do your research. Yeah.
Next question. Where? Right here. Chris, is that right?
Yeah.
All right.
Hi. Nice to be talking to you all. My name is Chris Anderson. I'm a UCF screenwriting student and producer. I was just talking, mainly this question might be towards Mr. Woods, but if anyone can answer, that'd be great. I was interested in voice acting, and I was trying to find information on any of that, and I wanted to know if any of you happen to have any information.
First of all, why are you not in my class?
Oh.
Me?
Yes.
You're
a film student?
Yes.
Oh, there we go. Okay. Good. Voice acting.
Yeah, Marco, do you know much about the voiceover world? Why don't you take this? Because I surround myself with people who know more than me. So I've got a guy at my studio who's a voice actor guru, and I'm happy to get you in touch with him. But Marco, you're here.
Well, first of all, let me say that because I hear this is like one of these really over the past decade has just exploded is this idea of getting into voiceover acting, And first of all, there's different categories of that. There's audiobook, there's voiceover for commercials, there's dubbing on film, there's video game, there's animation, right? There's all, and these are different types of voiceover. For many years, even 80s and 90s and early 2000s, voiceover had to do with more of the technical, how to use your voice. Commercial voiceover had a very specific sound to it. Animation had a very specific sound to it, different voices and so forth. It's evolved, especially in the gaming and animation world, where what I like to call it's called voice over acting, meaning your voice, which is a technical skill you need to know how to use, is over the acting part of it. A very dear friend of mine is a voice director in LA. He does mostly video games. Life is Strange and Skyrim and things like that. And when I was asking him, I said, what do you look for the most as a voiceover artist? I said, is it technical or is it something else? And he said, it's the emotional level of the actor. He says, I want to find the best actor that then knows how to use their voice. Not the best person just with their voice. Because, right now, most of the world is watching The Last of Us, right, on HBO. It came from a video game called The Last of Us, which, if you watch the game, is highly emotional. There's, Spider-Man 2018, highly emotional, right? There's all of a sudden, they're bringing really strong acting to that world. So if you're looking to get into, and even animation, there's a reason they hire, the big studios, Pixar, DreamWorks, hire celebrities for that, not just for the name recognition, because they understand how to bring the performance. So a big part of voiceover, if you're looking for video game or animation, is still learning the internal life of the actor, learning how to get into that emotional life, learning how to get into the performance, and then deliver it solely with your voice.
What's your focus? Yes, Chris, yes.
Like with voice acting or just?
Yes, out of all the categories that Marco just named, what is your focus?
Maybe video games or children's animation.
Okay.
Yeah, which is really the most popular. And the neat thing right now is that video games and film are merging into one, and which is I think it's awesome to watch. Just stand back and just watch how the video game world is using more of the filmmaking styles and acting skills to come into there, and then the filmmaking world is using video game technology to bridge over. So we're actually seeing those two worlds combine.
You're going to see more of that, especially as VR becomes more and more and more prevalent. So,
As far as getting a start, would you recommend that Chris maybe take the Fiverr route to build up that reel? No, don't take Fiverr?
I wouldn't.
No, I think you're going to you need to take a class on it. And as Jordan said, he has somebody you can work with as a voiceover. You have a voiceover.
I'll get you in touch with my guy. Right, this is not a sales plug. This is an offer to offer you an email address, right? But on top of that is
One thing.
Lead by curiosity.
One thing that I would like to say about that is that make sure that you are ready to stand in a booth for 3 hours doing the same thing over and over and over and over until they say, okay, now you got it. You might have to be in there 8 hours, but that's what it takes if that's really what you want to do. If you want to be, at the top of your game with it.
Yeah. Great advice.
These gentlemen here can help you get there, but you gotta want to be. It got to be in your mind that this is what I'm ready to sacrifice for, because that's what it's taking.
And over Fiverr, I would start turning on that self-aware part of the brain that acknowledges tools rather than emotional, judgmental stuff, and start watching some video games and some children's animations, and just break it down analytically. Like, what are the tools that these trained people are using behind that camera or behind that microphone? That's the thing, right? It's behind a microphone, and they're different tools than you would use between audiobook and voiceover and an on-camera commercial and all this other stuff, right? And then secondly, I'd be like, just go play, have fun, you can buy a decent, the AT2020 is a USB mic, $200 on Amazon, maybe even cheaper. It's sold out at the beginning of the pandemic because it was pretty damn good for the price. Go buy one of those, go in your closet where you've got sound dampening, and challenge yourself to come up with 4 completely differently saturated characters. It sounds like no matter what you're going to do, you're going to end up in a world of character, voiceover or children's animation, right? How do you break down the different tools that you are using in your body to create these different voices? And just to paint a picture for you here, they all have to be completely different. There can be no similarities between them. If you had 2 characters and one was red and one was blue, neither of them are purple at any point, right? And do that and just play. And you're gonna lead by curiosity and just see what happens. And then along the path, also find folks who know more than you and they can offer you some tips and guidance.
All right, great. We have 10 minutes, so we have time for probably about 2 more questions. Lenny, the gentleman in the back here. Yeah, you. Yeah.
Oh, hi. How are you? I work for Disney and I was doing a private event. And one of the guests at the event asked me what I wanted to do. And I said that I was getting ready to become a film student. And then he was like, "Oh, really?" I said, "Yes."
Judgment!
Well, he pointed out the lady, and the guy's name was Mike Mass, which I think he's played the stunt double for Indiana Jones for the last, 4 or 5 years. He pointed out a lady, and he said that she is Kathleen Kennedy, and apparently she's very important. But then he said,
Yeah.
a little bit. Yeah, and no, I'm excited. I want to be a director. And he's looking at me, oh my God, not another one, right? And so he said 2 things to me. First, get out of Florida. and second, I won't be able to tell you that, but what was your right? In order to be successful in film, do I need to not be? He said that Atlanta was the place to be for filmmakers. And I just...
Could you be competitive in Atlanta if you went there right now?
Right.
I don't know the industry.
So the answer is no.
So
Atlanta is LA and New York right now.
Yeah.
It
Okay.
is growing tremendously.
You have to go in with a resume, with work already on major things, and a full agent and team. You need a whole team. You
and
need
to
a
that-
lawyer, everything.
And to that point, does the Florida Film Festival accept student films?
Yeah, actually, we accept almost entirely student films because most of the people working in the independent film industry are students.
Okay.
So people always ask me, can I have a student discount? And I always tell them no, because 95% of our submissions are from students. So the entry fee is the student discount.
Yeah. If you're a film student or want to go to film school, you want to get started, again, get with Orlando Independent Filmmakers. It sounds like one big commercial for them, but build up your resume so that when you're ready to go to Atlanta or wherever, you have credits, you have productions that you worked on, and you know the jargon, you know what everything is, and that they can depend on you.
Yeah.
Cool.
Okay. Thank you so much.
All right, last one. Who are y'all gonna pick? Who are y'all picking?
Everybody all
Who's got
shout
the
it out
mics?
at the same time.
I'm going to throw out a fun quote while you're handing off the microphone. Is if anyone is at the precipice of needing to make a decision, such as this fine folk who just said something, it's that thing about the best time to plant a tree was 15 years ago. The second best time to plant a tree is today.
Yeah.
Just do it. Just go.
All right, question?
That's great, thank you. Hi, I had a question. Hi, Jordan.
Where are you? Oh, hi, there you are.
Hi, my dear, my name's Blanca.
Hi, Blanca.
Hi. I was shocked the other day, if you look up my name on Google, everything I have ever done came up. I'm even talking about the most recent thing, like the show that I did last, how did they get all that?
Google?
Everything I've
Google
done.
knows everything. It's just your name.
Man, I was absolutely like, whoa. So what you said, Jordan, about, I'm sorry, what Marco said about being careful about what you do or say, I absolutely will be, because I was really quite surprised and shocked by that. All of it, up to recent work, things I've done, articles about me that were in a paper, a critic, that everything was on there. So, wow, that's my comment.
Okay. All right. We will take one more question, but I know there's a young lady out here who actually had a question about animals. Jordan, do you want to stand up and right here, this young lady? And she has a doll that she wants to get into performing. Go ahead, Jordan. Ask your question.
Yes, hello. My name is Jordan Parchman. I have a little Maltipoo dog, and I'm looking to get her trained. She's really young right now, so I wanted to know, like, what steps would I need to take to get her acting in film, working in advertising? Where would I go from training?
You know?
I don't work with animals.
I don't know.
I would say first.
There are organizations, there are organizations that work with animals and the safety of animals on set, especially for film.
The only possible connection I have is John Binkowski, who's a local director, directed a whole movie that was featuring animals maybe 7, 8 years ago, and he probably knows a company that could help train. But I don't know if they provide the animals, so I don't know if they would be like, yeah, we'll train your competition, or if
I don't know.
No, those are ours, y'all.
As far as I know, and we've used companies, and it's been a very, very, very long time that used a company. They have all the animals. They're their animals. Yeah. So I don't know how unless you have a grumpy cat, like I don't know how you go, my dog's adorable, and it can be an actor too, because like a Shih Tzu's a Shih Tzu, kind of thing. Like, and one of them can do it, one of them can't. So I wish I could tell you, but that's probably, John's actually a good cat, and John's so nice, he'll talk to you about anything, so he would totally respond back to you.
I would do that, and also, Jordan, I would probably, this may sound crazy, but I would probably go to some of the pet stores and talk to them about, standard training for your pet, and then see if they have any recommendations, to take you to the next level. And then just start putting some videos out of things that your dogs are doing, like TikTok. I mean, look all over TikTok. You got, pets doing crazy things out there, and I'm sure that talent agencies are seeing this and probably, communicating with them or contacting them. Cool.
Okay, thank you so much.
Let's we'll take a couple more questions. Thanks to Lenny here. Let's get some folks in the back. And then we'll come back. We'll come back to.
We know what you look like.
You're
You just find us in the
out.
hallway.
Yeah.
I like your Cinerama shirt.
Hey, how you doing? My name is Joshua Cornelius. I'm a senior at Full Sail University and also a DP. And my question is, I'm trying to find a path to success as a DP. And I'm questioning, is it doing 100 short films or finding a mentor? How do I get in bigger films and meaningful projects?
I can give you some pointers. But first of all, there's a producer here who has a script and needs a crew.
Yes.
Okay, so the short version is you don't get to go on set and be a DP unless you make the movie with your friends or get hired that way. So there's a path to actually do that, and you start in the camera department, which Full Sail should be talking to you, I'm sure, about what first ACs and things like that do. So to get on a set, you need to get somewhere where they're making movies, and that's going to be about how you know. One of the nice things about film school, I tell everybody, is that you didn't actually go to film school to learn how to, you didn't go to Full Sail, you didn't go to a UCF, sorry UCF, I love you guys, you know it. I'm actually guest lecturing there on Tuesday, so, you go to film school, you spend $100,000 to go to film school to meet other people that are going to film school. Because when you get out, somebody is going to get a job. And that's the person that you're now their best friend, ever. Also, it's really nice that you went to film school and didn't want to become a writer-director, because that's what everybody else wants to do. And I used to tell my friends, when you go to film school, find the one person who wants to be a grip. Okay, but that you're going to get yourself on set probably in a PA position and things like that, meeting your department heads, being good, being cool, being useful, not being a pain in the ass, not driving everybody nuts. All of that is going to endear you to crew, and that's how you're going to work up. ultimately telling those people the camera department is where you want to end up going is the way you're gonna do it. Now I'm talking about a full-blown corporate path. You want to go out there, you want to end up on Marvel. This is where you're gonna go. You want to make movies with all your friends. You want to start here, and using OIF is, again, I already keep saying this, but they're making more movies than anybody else in Orlando by like a mile, like so many more. They're putting out more than the content of probably all the film schools in Orlando combined, and they're doing that several times a year. So big props to that, because it's a resource where you get to shoot and then you get to be able to cut your reel out of it. So getting hired for indie projects, being willing to work for very little pay. I'm not as huge a fan of saying work for free, unless like it's my family members that are asking me to do that, because you got bills to pay, and just even a little bit of money as an incentive to do that. It's just like, look, man, just give me $100 so I can say I was paid for this gig.
And sometimes you just have to work for pizza to get the experience.
Yeah, I mean, you absolutely have to work for Taco Bell value meals. Yeah. I've paid an entire crew in like Wendy's.
Yeah.
But like that's the way to do it. But just to sort of be like, I'm a DP, I'm great. Do I need to shoot 100 short films? Well, to learn how to be a DP, you probably do need to light and shoot 100 short films. But I don't know that I'd show 98 of those 100 short films to anyone, like after they're done, because you're learning your craft. The hardest thing that people are dealing with social media now is they make something, they're excited about it, they put it out, and then like we just talked about Google, that is forever there. And like, so you don't really want all your was learning how to do it work all over creation.
Tim, real quick, because we're in your house.
Sure.
We're a little over time.
It is. Yell at me.
Are you okay if we take a couple more questions?
I'd say we could go at the absolute. If you guys all promise to leave immediately after the panel goes and go out there somewhere, we could do like tops of 10 more minutes.
10 more minutes? Oh, yeah. That's great.
You've got to go when we light you the stage.
Where's the other mic?
Hello.
Somebody know? Okay.
Yeah, thank y'all for squeezing in a few more questions. My name is Gabriel. I've been acting since 2017. I'm currently taking classes at the Melee School here in Orlando. And this is actually like my first networking event, so I just was wondering how, can I network better and put myself out there better than just, submitting to every audition that I even, semi fit for, you know what I mean? Like, what can I do? Like, how would you want an actor to approach you without sounding too thirsty? You know what I mean?
Be hungry.
Showing up
be hungry.
Yeah. Showing up to something like this is right. It's showing up is half the battle.
Yeah.
So yes, coming to these type of events, going to the local film festivals that you're able to go to, those things are so incredibly important. Now, with that being said, the one thing that immediately pushes me back as a director is when an actor approaches me and says, "Hey, I'm an actor, do you have something for me?" Right? It's what we call a taking attitude, and it immediately puts me on the defensive. It's because the answer is no, I don't. Mm-hmm. And so don't be so desperate for work or opportunities, but actually just meet people, show your personality, get to know someone, almost on a friendship level, right? Where we're meeting a new friend. And that alone will move you ahead. And then if I know you're an actor, and I know, then if I have anything that I'm thinking that could be good for you or for you to audition for, then I'll say, "Oh, hey, have you ever thought of this?" But try not to be too pushy with it. That's where really when I go to film festivals or anything else, and I don't know, actors.
It just needs to be organic.
Yeah.
Like if you go in and you're like, "I'm an actor, let me tell you all the things I've been," and I'm like, "Dude, where's the bar?" Like,
Yeah.
we gotta go.
And don't apologize for it either. You actually just apologized to us twice by introducing yourself. You said, "I've been an actor since 2017, and I'm taking classes at the Melee School." You're an actor, man. That's it.
That's
You're
it.
an actor.
Yeah, that's it.
We don't need to know how long it's been. We don't need to know who you've trained with, right? Your job is to go out and train with a whole bunch of folks. Acting is like religion. Everybody's got a different idea of how to get there, but they're all looking to get you to the same place. So like,
that should be on a shirt.
It's I've got it tattooed somewhere. I can't show you. And get that. That's it.
And I'll end that with there's something that Issa Rae from Insecure, she promotes, and I tell my students this all the time: network at your level until your network is ready to go to the next level. So network with your fellow folks who are folks who want to write, who want to direct, be in their films and stuff like that. And then someone's eventually going to break out, and then they're going to get to the next level, and then you move up to that next level with them. But also keep coming to these networking events, because you might be the one to get to that next level and take your crew to the next level. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that's perfect. Thank you.
Okay, perfect,
Cool.
perfect.
Thanks, Gabriel.
Here, down here.
Hi. This question is for Will Covington primarily, based on his comments earlier. Mr. Covington, you described the necessity of having music cleared prior to consideration by a music supervisor. If you would consider the following scenario. I have a piece of music, it's completely original, no samples, no lyrics, no collaboration. It was not a work for hire. I own it entirely, and the score and the sound recording are registered with the Copyright Office. Beyond that, my question is twofold. Beyond that, what would it take to have music cleared? And second of all, would association with royalty management like ASCAP or BMI be a help or a hindrance to granting a synchronization license to a film production?
Well, the synchronization license would be automatic. They automatically clear, your song is automatically cleared if BMI accepted it. You understand? BMI or ASCAP accepted it. Your song is already clear. You don't have that problem. Getting it to music supervisor is where you may run into a problem because they have thousands of songs. So that's where I go back to, you have to build a relationship in order to get your music. Now, if it's your original music, you did everything yourself. The main thing that you must take consideration of is making sure that it's mixed properly and it's mastered properly. That way, you have a better chance of getting it into the system. You don't want to, well, maybe you do, but I would not advise you to send it out to a lot of music supervisors so that they could place it in their library. What I would ask you to do first would begin to get a relationship with some of these music supervisors so that when you send them your music, that they would automatically, rather than go through their library with thousands of songs, they would take yours. And then that way, it don't take you 2 years to find out if they would use your song. You would be able to find out within months whether your song fit what they're looking for. The majority of the music supervisors now, they send out information and they say, well, I want a blues song, I want a jazz song, I want this, I want that. They tell you what type song they want. Now, if you want to get it into certain films, of course you have to look at the film to see if the song fits. The producer of that film and you as the producer of your music will work together to see if it's something that you would definitely be, a part of. They gotta know that it fits the scene that they're looking for. Now, if you just wanna do, I would say, the bed of a song, if you just wanna be the bed of a song, then you could send in tracks, you could send in original songs, and, accept it, hope they accept it anyway. But the main thing that you do, you gotta start building a relationship. If you get that relationship going, then you got a better opportunity.
Just a quick follow-up. So, regarding association with ASCAP or BMI, I've read it's a toss-up. Some people say that unless you're wildly popular, it could be an actual hindrance. What's your feeling on that?
How can it be a hindrance and that's who gets the royalties for you? They're a collection agency. They're a collection agency. Their job is to collect your money. Now what happened is that you may not know all of the situations that help them get you the money. Because you as a songwriter or producer, you only know the relationship that you have, that you signed up with BMI or ASCAP. But one step that you don't take, and you might take it, but I'm gonna ask you this. Do you ever send them a letter of direction?
Don't even know what that is.
Okay, a letter of direction is actually writing a letter to BMI or ASCAP and telling them where your music is playing. You have to do that. And another thing about music, there are 7 different royalties. I'm not gonna name them, but if you wanna contact me or whatever, then we can go into that. But there's 7 different royalties that the public don't even know about. And majority of the songwriters don't even know. Okay? So now have you ever heard of MLC?
No, sir.
Okay, MLC is Mechanical Licensing Collectives. Okay? That is another form of collecting your royalties. They collect all your royalties that I bet you, and I can guarantee you that you've been missing. Okay? Now, do you know about sound exchange?
No, I do not.
Sounds like you need to teach a class.
Well, you better, yeah, you need to come to my class.
Yeah.
No, no, but sound exchange, that's something you have to belong to be able to collect other royalties that you need. All of these royalty streams, there's a lot of royalty streams that are left out there laying dead, and the average artist don't even know how to collect them. Okay?
All right, so after this, do you want to get with Will and he can help you out?
Certainly, thank you, sir.
All right, perfect. All right, everyone, that concludes our session. I want to bring our executive director up, Mr. Lenny Russo.
Thank you all for coming today. If Jason enjoying everybody, if you guys could stand up, please. I think we had a great panel today. I hope you enjoyed what they said. Thank you. Thanks for those that donated and registered today. That helps us put these programs together. Appreciate it. Here we go. All right. One more round of applause, please, for everyone. Thank you so much.
Thanks, everybody. Get home safe, and we look forward to the next session.